Hi, I'm Tim with Selfless Awakening, where I like to ground all of this spiritual self-help, quantum metaphysical stuff. So this is day 11 of my 30 Days of Awakening series, where I wake up in the morning, I get present, I ask universe, emptiness, alive, source energy, what could I say to be of service to those of you out there? Maybe something could come to me, maybe I could receive something that then could maybe help someone today. And so that's what this is about. And hi there, welcome. So today the thing that I felt intuitively led to talk about on day 11 is the idea of, or this question rather, how do you have genius ideas? How do you do it, okay? That question. And it's a real interesting question, I think. Hi, Vanessa. So, genius ideas. How do you have genius ideas? Okay, here we go. You can't. You can't. You, your personality can't. Tim can't. Tim's never had a good idea in his life. Because the avatar, the Tim personality, the you, those of you out there, you cannot have a good or a genius idea. Never ever can. Because genius ideas are not born from your avatar. They're not born from your personality. They're not born from Tim or from Vanessa Bell or from anyone. They're not born from, hi Carrie, ideas are not born from your ego. Maybe that's a better title for this. So if that's the case, if you can't come up with ideas, your personality, here's a couple things that means. Where do ideas come from? Or a couple things that raises questions of where do ideas come from then? And it also raises this point. You can't take ownership of any genius ideas you have. Because, again, you can't make ideas. At best, what we can do is this. Now, this is what we can do. This is how I feel. This is where I feel the focus is. What we can do. We can't come up with genius ideas, but what we can do is create states of being. Or another way to say that, we can create moods, or another way to say that is we can get in a vibrational frequency where we are receptive to genius ideas. Now, let me break that down a little bit, okay? If you have any comments or things you want to say to share about what I'm talking about, chime in at any time, okay? So, genius ideas only come in when you're in a vibrational frequency that can receive them, okay? So what does that mean? Let me break that down and ground that, because, I'm very interested in grounding all of this stuff, okay? So one way to say a vibration is like, think about some people you know in your life who are, let's say, Eeyore-like. Well, I guess it's sunny, but I'm probably gonna get sunburned. Oh, even though I don't work today, I probably won't find anything fun to do. Someone like that, with that like Eeyore vibe. Let's call that low vibrating. Someone that everything is dense, everything's hard. It's like dragging a donkey around, literally, right? So let's call that a vibrational frequency, okay? Then think about someone who is very light in their energy. They're very playful. They're somebody that whenever you talk to them, they always feel like they think everything's okay. They always have a little laugh. They always have that little twinkle behind their eyes. And things just roll off of them. They move freely. They're always optimistic and playful. Let's call that high vibrating, okay? So, now I've defined what I mean by that. You could also say emotional mood. I think state of being is really good language for that. But again, language is just, we're talking about signposts that point to experiences, right? So this idea of vibration, if that makes sense, let me know. But that's I think that breaks it down. So the trick to having genius ideas is to stay in a high vibrating state of being, to stay light, to stay playful, to stay excited, to feel good in your body. Like, all of these things are some of many tools that a person can use to get into, hi, good morning, talking about having genius ideas right now. So everyone has these things that they can do, these practices, to get themselves to a place of being able to have genius ideas come in. And let me say specifically, like in my life, how it works, okay? In the morning, when I wake up, sometimes I'll wake up and there's a little bit of the Eeyore energy in me. There's a little I feel a little groggy, my brain feels slow. I'm maybe carrying a little residue from either whatever I was dreaming about or whatever I went to sleep with the night before. And I'm not in a super high vibrating state of being. By the time I come out here and I sit down, usually, in this time of year, I'll come out and sit down on my little outside chairs, and I'll have an espresso, and I just sit here. And by the time that I'm done with my morning meditation routine, which it's like wake up, espresso, out here, the state of being transformation for me from where I started the morning to where I am at the end of my morning practices. It's such a state of being shift, it's such a vibrational shift that I literally I can't show you because I'm on my phone right now, but it's on my phone. Oh no, I can show you here on my notes, I think right here. What I do, here's what I do. I have this note. It's called Insight. Called Insights. And what I do is I write down. I'll just sit and get in this really excited, grateful, ecstatic place, and literally genius ideas come into my head, and I write them down. And some of them look a little more genius later than others, but they're all, like, most of my great business ideas have come from getting in this state of being. So check this out. Like, look at how many of these ideas have come to me through just sitting here and meditating. Like, a lot of the video content that I have here, I just write down little ideas when I'm meditating, when I'm in a high vibrating state. But it's very interesting. If I've had a long stretch of teaching or clients, and maybe I had some clients that were really processing a lot of stuff and it was a little dense, or I'm hungry, or I didn't work through something that came up in my own self, I'll notice that I don't have those genius ideas. I'm not reaching for my iPad or for my note and putting in ideas of, oh, that's a great idea, I have to write that down. I've noticed that only happens to me when I'm high vibrating. And so in my meditation, I'll have all the time these ideas come, and sometimes the ideas that come in are so one after the other that feel so geniusy that I have to eventually do a few of them and then stop, because what I've noticed is sometimes that can pull me out of the moment of living inside of the identification of myself as awareness. And there are some times where, for me, I know that I get a little squirrely if I don't actually do some what I call no thought meditation practice. I like to sit and literally turn off my thoughts and turn off the voice in my head and just live as the space that's always there. Like, you can stretch that emptiness. Like, you know how you're waiting and listening for someone who might be coming? You can take that silence and stretch it out. And if you experiment with that, let me tell you, you have some crazy experiences. But the whole point of this video really is that we can't create genius ideas. We can't make them happen. And you cannot own them. But what you can do is to create a state of being where you will be receptive to have them come into your mind or have them come into your awareness. Okay? That's all you can do. And let me tell you, there's nothing more selfless There's nothing more to teach you about selflessness than having a genius idea, because you know full well you didn't come up with it. You can't sit in the back of a laboratory and let me throw this in there, let me come up with a genius idea. I did it. Like, it doesn't work like that. A genius idea, it's literally, it's not there and then it appears. Let me tell you, that's one of the most magical parts about ideas for me, is this idea of like, an idea is literally born. And isn't it amazing that ideas come into our minds and then creation happens? The same way natural creation happens in the universe. It's magical. Like, that blows my mind. An idea is no thing and then it's a thing. Where did it come from? I love thinking about stuff like that. Vanessa Bell, you had a question. Do you prefer being inside or outside for meditating? Well, my answer to that question is, it's interesting. I would say I prefer being outside, but it doesn't really matter, basically. You know, there's something about being outside that helps to disrupt the voice in the head better than sitting inside, because I have this feeling that when you sit with man-made things, it stimulates man-made thinking, you know, and that's not always the case. I mean, there's some man-made stuff that's intentionally designed to trick the mind out of thinking. Some types of art that really can take you out of the structural, analytical, conversational, commentary part of the mind, you know, which is really what meditating for me is. It's all about sitting inside of this constant blissful stillness that's always there, that is the deepest awareness of self that I can find, and staying there and living there as my primary identification place. And as I live there, I feel an inner energy change in my body. I feel an expansive feeling in my head and all around me. I feel myself as more space than as a person. The voice in my head begins to slow down and then eventually ceases. And that's what meditation is for me. And I can do that anywhere. And some places I will get to that state of being faster, and other places it'll go slower. Sometimes it has to do with if there's a lot of things coming up to process that I need to allow the voice in the head to say and create space around before I go to that, fully out to that place. But as far as where, I love being outside. You know, it feels magical to be outside to meditate. So, but it's meditation. If you're meditating correctly, in my opinion, if you're really doing what I think of meditation as, it's something you can do in any situation. You can do it during any activity. And what I think of as deep meditation is the sitting and dedicating all of your awareness to the emptiness, the stillness. But you can meditate, like right now, I'm holding the awareness, like I'm looking at the camera and I can feel the empty space around the camera, and I'm just kind of half looking at the emptiness with my peripheral vision, and I'm feeling a little buzzy, tingly feeling in my body, and I can talk right from the stillness awareness and allow the words to be born into the stillness and then into the camera. So yeah, let me read another comment here. If I get coolness at the spine and top of the head, or tried eye point, is that cosmic? Am I getting it? Yes, of course, Vanessa. Any other questions, feel free, or any other comments, feel free to leave them. If I get coolness at the spine, at the top of the head, I don't know if I've ever experienced that, honestly. Let me think about that. For me, the sensation is more like someone turned up a light switch, and I feel like every cell in my body is like starting to electrify or vibrate, or like I just feel like whoa, this like inner excitement, buzzy, tingly feeling. I don't know if I've ever felt a coolness anywhere in my body when I'm meditating. But hey, I'm open to it. I tried eye point. I don't know what eye point is. I have felt, I do feel pressure in between my eyes when I meditate most of the time. Is that cosmic I am getting? I'm not quite sure of that question. Being cosmic, everything going cosmic, I'm not sure. But at any rate, I'll just come back to talking about this idea of ideas. And one last thing I'll say, really, I don't know if it'll be a last thing, maybe. Allow ideas that come in to be reminders of the surrender of ego, to be reminders of the greatest joy in life is the alignment with source energy, let's call it, or the alignment with creative energy that can come through you and that can also help you realize your full potential as a creation yourself, you know? And so when these ideas come, I like to really use it as a moment of gratitude to the universe for the gift of the idea. And so think about that, you know, a little bit. And I do have to say, and in our society, this will sound like I'm bragging or like I'm cocky, but because I know I don't own these ideas, I can say this. I have had some genius ideas lately, no doubt about it. And Tim can't own these. Tim can't say, hey, ooh, you know. There's no way that I can possess these ideas. All I can do is transmute them, share them, allow them to become creations, and then remind myself and remember where these ideas came from. They came from the other side, you know? And isn't that exciting? And that means that, you know, the more that I surrender to the universe in receiving these gifts of ideas, the more the universe gives me these great ideas, because the universe knows that they're not getting caught up in some ego trip, or that I'm taking these ideas and trying to leverage them for some quest of money or fame or some other bullshit that I already know doesn't lead to a life of joy and happiness and excitement, you know. I will say I'm just so thankful that every day I feel that I learn more and more insights and things for myself, you know, like that I practice that just, it feels like, you know, a lot of the time, honestly, the way I feel is it feels like, I get kind of mushy thinking about this, but I feel like life is so good and life keeps getting so much better. It's like, how much better could it get than this, you know? And it's not that the external world is changing around me, although it is, but it's not that it isn't. It's not that it's this internal thing, like this joy that I'm feeling inside more and more through more waking moments of my life and sleeping moments, I guess, are just, it's incredible to me that I would have thought it's incredible to me that I didn't know a life this blissful was possible, and that it keeps going that direction. Like, and I have to say, with the way I feel, it feels impossible to not share, to not do these videos. You know, it's like, if you feel so good most of the time, how can you not talk about it? Especially when you see so many people that don't feel so good all the time. And whether people want to hear it or not, that's not my place. But at least it's out there for those that are ready to step into these practices that are working for me and working for people I know. You know, so you know, there's so much surrender in that and selflessness in that, in the sharing, because this is such a transient experience. We're only here for a minute. And I want to make the most of it. I want to get the most of it. And I know that when I get to be of service to others, I feel the charge of whatever I'm trying to say to help come through me. And I just feel so amazing, you know. So anyway, Carrie said awareness and inspiration. How long it took you to get this energy or awakening, if you can answer, this elevating. How long did it take to get this energy? Well, I want to answer that as succinctly as possible. I had what I would consider to be an awakening, a stepping out of self that really scared me and left me in a lot of panic and insecurity in my early 20s. I went back to sleep for about 6 or 7 years, had a huge awakening when I was 30, in my 30s, really became very deep into the identification of myself as awareness, had transcendent experiences for a few years, went really back to sleep for about 6 years, and now I've been awake for about 4 years, I guess, or 3 or 4 years maybe, like this level. It's every time that I awaken, every time I woke up, I went back to sleep. The next time I was like something cracked deeper. Then I went back to sleep, and then divorce and moving and everything went, and I became so, this awakening, it really does feel like it happens kind of to, it felt like it happened to me as opposed to me doing it. Now it feels like a practice. I mean, the last few years have been just an incredible deepening into my, my girlfriend Jessie is texting me, I just told you I'm online. Anyway, there's been an incredible deepening. These last few years, like if I were to draw a curve of my awakening, it would be like high school, young years, nice kid, kind of rebellious, not awake, crack, awaken, go back to sleep. In my when I got turned 30, huge crack, go back to sleep. And then this has been like an exponential, these last few years, the deepening that I felt into the awareness of myself as this higher self that's always present no matter what my thoughts are, or no matter what my body, no matter who I'm talking to, and that I keep feeling more and more joy and bliss and happiness and playfulness and excitement and energy and health in my life. Like that, the last few years have been, I'm 43 now, so it's been since like 39 that the curve of awareness of joy, of every moment being joyful in my life, has increased exponentially, like so much compared to the rest of my life in these last few years, and I've really zeroed in on what it is, and it's these practices. And so the more that I've deepened into these practices, it just keeps going and it keeps going. And so the question, thank you. So you mean it took 6 years? It really took 23 years. I mean, since my first awakening, it took me a long time to be able to get to where I live a life in the practices I do now. But if you're talking about how long have I actually been doing exactly what my routine is right now, where I wake up in the morning and I meditate, I come outside and I do my stillness practice, I do my gratitude work, I do my multiverse visualization work, I do my sending love work, I do throughout the day affirmation work, I read spiritual teachers, metaphysical teachers, self-help teachers, I watch videos of entrepreneurs, spiritual entrepreneurs, videos of spiritual teachers every single day. I am actively involved in, I have a very beautiful spiritual relationship where that's the place where my girlfriend and I meet first, and everything else has sort of fallen around that. I mean, it's become such a gigantic part of my life now, and that has happened in the last 4 years that I've been living this life. And this life, to anyone that doesn't feel like their life is blissful most of the time, I wish I could just plug a USB or like a USB or some sort of Thunderbolt connection, whatever the fastest thing is, in between our heads, and I could just share some of the way that my life experience feels these days. And it's not that shit doesn't come up. I mean, I just had an interesting experience with a neighbor yesterday, which left me with some serious processing to do, and it took me quite a while this morning until until the energy charge released from it and I felt in this blissful place I feel now. So it's not the stuff doesn't come up, it definitely comes up. It's that you realize that, you know, the more you live inside of the permanent part of yourself, the non-physical part of yourself that's always there and always makes you feel blissful to be aware of it there, and that gives you more joy in the moment because you're more anchored in the moment. The more that you learn to live there, the more you realize all of the external stuff that can happen to you that causes fear, that causes emotions, that causes negativity, that causes physical things. You realize that you can just kind of live behind and around it, and it's not really a big deal. Even though paradoxically, at the same time, it can feel like a big deal. Your thoughts can be going crazy, your heart can be racing, but you can also step into that zoomed out, I am the space around and inside of and through all things that's constant and present and alive, and you can just be there, and it's like everything that's bothering you just lives inside of that vast void, and it's not such a big deal. And yeah, so there, I guess that's all. I mean, I feel like I've been going for a bit. Maybe it's a good time to stop here. So thanks so much for participating, you guys. I have been not doing a great job of posting in my Insta story when I'm going to be going live next. I'll promise to do that today if you want to come back and join the conversation tomorrow. Maybe I can get my girlfriend to be on camera because she'll be with me tomorrow, and we can have an Insta story chat. If you have any topics that you'd like me to talk about, or if I can get Jesse to talk with us all tomorrow, then let me know, okay? Sending you all so much love and support. Know that your life can be better and better and better and better, okay? And if you're watching this on YouTube, subscribe. If you like what I'm talking about, click the little notification to stay up to date. This is day 11 of 30 Days of Awakening, and this is about coming up with genius ideas and how to do it. So hope this helped, and thanks so much. Thank you, Carrie, and also thank you, Hari Prasad 69. Thanks for stopping by. I'll talk to you all soon, okay? And this will be posted. This video is going to be posted on the YouTube account. If you're on live Instagram now, the link's in the description. You can watch the first 10 days. This is day 11. And also, I'll leave the Insta story up for a bit as well, okay? Hope you all have a beautiful day.